but really it's just focusing on right now. And it's hard though. Like what are some of the things that you do to keep your mind and your focus in the present moment?
Yeah, that's a great question. I do post a lot of videos, just like tips and tricks to try and keep yourself in the present. And I think before even like there are, I have a few reminders like focusing on my breath, feeling my body, these are things, breath always happens in the present. And then even just realizing when you're not being present, in the moment that you realize that you're not present, you are present because you're aware of it. But I think beyond that, like understanding that, that internal dialogue, that voice in your head, the ego, the personality, whatever, you refer to it as, is not who you are. It's you who you truly are, like as the universal consciousness is simply the awareness behind all of those thoughts, all of those emotions that you can feel, all of those things that happen to your body that you can feel. Like you are simply the awareness. So when you understand that, you realize that, those thoughts in your head, they can't happen in the present. Thinking can only happen in the past and the future. The present is the only place that you can exist, but your thoughts can only exist in the past and the future. And, things like regret are things that, you're living in the past, thinking about the past, thinking about, anxiety, worry, fear, you're living in the future. But those emotions don't really happen as much in the present moment. So the more often you can be in the present, you kind of start to realize that, maybe all those problems I think I have aren't as real as I think, because they're always something that might happen in the future. And as something is happening that I was so afraid of, like, it's really maybe not that scary.
Yeah. That little change in focus changes like the whole perspective of everything. It's crazy.
Mm-hmm.
And
yeah. Just that awareness of the fact that maybe you aren't, and meditation does that too, watching your breath, realizing those thoughts keep popping up. Like you're not the one thinking them. Thoughts are just happening, like how your heart beats or your body digests food. Like you don't have to think about your heart beating. You don't have to think about food digesting. Thoughts are the same thing. They're like a bodily function that you're just aware of. And the more you can disassociate yourself from your mind, realize that you aren't your mind, disidentify from your mind, you can realize that maybe you don't have to take all of those thoughts so seriously. You can see a little bit more clearly.
Mm-hmm. And can you explain a little bit more about how you do meditation? Like I'm interested in how you really think about meditation in that way. Yeah.
Yeah, definitely. Yeah. I think meditation, as I mentioned before, it's a great way to further understand that you aren't that voice in your head. You aren't those thoughts. You aren't your mind, because, you're focusing your attention on your breath. And the most basic form of meditation is simply watching your breath or watching your thoughts. I prefer watching my breath, just breathing in through my nose and out through my mouth and continuing that focus on my breath. And then eventually, every single time, sometimes, I can go a few breaths, maybe 5 or 6 without thoughts coming up, but eventually thoughts will come up. And every time they do, I simply bring my attention back to my breath. And that's sort of like the most basic form that I do. And then I have a few more things like I relax my whole body, then I feel my whole body from toe to my head. And just, it's like a really good vibrational type feeling by the end of that. And just bringing that conscious awareness to my body and feelings. And then I go through some gratitude affirmations, like just think of things that I'm grateful for. Like I think gratitude is one of the biggest keys to happiness. And it's just like that active act of remembering all the things that you already have can make you feel so much better. And like I said, even basic things like, having all of my limbs, having 2 arms and 2 legs, having the ability to see, hear, taste, touch, smell. Like these are all things that we rarely think about. And yet our lives would be so significantly different if we didn't have any of them. And then I finish off with one of those scenarios, like just imagining I'm 100 or imagining I, passed away or some sort of like extreme scenario, and then kind of go through it, really feel it, think about something I regret, or just open my eyes and realize, that I'm not close to death. I'm not about to die, something like that is usually how I finish it. And that's like my morning meditation routine.
That's really great. like I might implement some of that stuff too. Like I don't do it personally, like in the morning. I should do it in the morning, but I just like pick whatever time that I feel like doing it. But it's really important, I think. And more people should, or I think more people will benefit from doing something like it, because a lot of times, like we mentioned, that people think in the future and the past, I think way too much. And it's something that's in us. I don't know why. I don't know the cause of it, but we do tend to think more about the future and the past. And it's hard to think about the present. And when you get to that place, and it's probably for a short period of time, right, where you think about fully in the present, because your mind just automatically refers or goes back to the future. But being in the present will allow you to actually experience life in a much more in a much greater way, and it's really important. And personally, like I started watching your podcast. You just started that one,
Appreciate
right?
it.
Yeah,
just last week. Yeah.
Last week. Okay, yeah. And that has helped me a lot. I like how it's kind of condensed, so you could, and you go through all these different ways of thinking. So, I think that'll definitely help a lot of people as well.